Previously, we had to find a bunch of these and put on a bunch of those to extract a lot of this and turn it into a lot of that. Now we need a ton of refineries. We built a plastic, rubber and fuel refinery. And today, we're gonna make use of all that fuel by building one of these. So this is the current situation. This is where we're sitting at right now. And as you can see, our max consumption is above our production. And our current consumption isn't very far behind. So we definitely have a problem when it comes to power. And I've had a power trip off a couple of times when all of the factories are on and functioning. Now at the moment, a lot of them are sitting idle, even though they are on. So our current consumption can easily go into the red and trip the entire system. So for us to be able to use all that fuel, we need to be able to transport it. And for this, we're going to use a train. And this is going to be the first train for my world, and it's going to be a 4-car train. And for this one, as you can see, I'm building the train station plus 4 fluid platforms. The blueprints I'm going to use for the rail line is a design of my own. The idea behind it is to give it a very sleek and futuristic look to it, while still filling the function of just being a normal rail. As you can see, there are 2 variations for the double line, one with a central support and one without a central support. The entire idea behind how this blueprint is designed is that you can easily use it for a double line or a single line. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's finish up the train station.
Choo choo mother. Are you fooling? Calling you. Are you fooling? Calling you.
So now that I'm far enough away from the coastline to technically call this an offshore oil rig, I'm going to set up the train station, which will effectively dictate the size of the base of the oil rig.
Live and see how it goes. And the goals just keep on going, yeah. This life we live is a roll. When there's love in the rave, you know. When there's love in the rave, you know. All inside you, all in the soul, 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 soul. You know when the calling's calling you, and the calling's calling more. You know when the calling's calling you, it's calling, calling more, more.
Right, all that's needed now is just to complete the loop and spawning the train. For these ones, I try to not make the turn as tight as possible, just because it doesn't look too realistic to me, and the way the train goes around a sharp corner just looks a bit jarring. So I try to usually space them out a little bit more than the absolute minimum allowed.
You know when the calling's calling. Keeps on calling.
Okay, so now that we have the outline of the structure, this will give us a very good idea of exactly how big the structure is going to be and what to do. So all I'm doing now is just adding some trim, just cutting off the edges just to give it a little bit more definition, and I'll soon be duplicating it a bit further up. Some of you might be familiar with this technique, generally referred to as the catwalk technique for circles. All you need to do is place down a catwalk, and then when you place the next one, hold Control and scroll your mouse one click over, and that will change the angle with 5 degrees. If you then place the catwalk, you've got one catwalk with a 5-degree offset from the secondary catwalk. And all you need to do is now just continue placing down the catwalks. You don't have to scroll again, it should recall the previous angle, and you can just literally place them down exactly like I did. Here you can see me placing the pillars on top of the catwalk, and the reason why I don't place them on the center point in the catwalk, as in flat on it, is that the pivot point is in the center line. So if you want a nice smooth facing edge for your circle, make sure that the facing side is on that central line and you'll get a nice smooth curve. All I'm doing here now is placing a foundation on the center point and turning it by 45 degrees. From here I just outstretch each of the 4 corners. This will make up the 4 arms of the oil rig. Since these 4 arms will form the basis of essentially everything else I'm going to be building, I'm going to make sure that they are 100% exactly where they're supposed to be. Then I'm going to mark them as the center point, and from here I'm just going to flesh them out to make room for the various fuel generators. The amount of generators I'm going to use on this oil rig is dictated by the amount of fuel I'm producing. The idea here is not to use every single drop of fuel, but definitely to use the majority of it. The excess fuel is there to provide a slight overhead and just to slowly fill up all the buffers over a long period of time. I will definitely be siphoning off some of the fuel for the various transport vehicles going up and down the map. So this one wing is pretty much completed. All I now need to do is just to duplicate this process another 3 times to fill out all the other arms of the oil rig. Just another reminder, if you do enjoy the blueprint for this fuel generator, you can find this one as well as the train station on my Discord, freely available. Just jump on and download it for yourself. The fuel will be pumped up all the way from the train station level to this floor here, and then from here it's going to split into the 2 pipes that I'm laying down now. The idea behind it is just to get a nice even distribution of fuel as soon as it gets up to the correct floor. At every train station, just to ensure that there's a continuous flow of fuel going from the train station being pumped up to the generators. No hiccups, as the trains will stop the pumping as soon as they start offloading a new batch of fuel. As you can see, the fluid buffers are raised into the second floor. No particular reason besides the fact that I thought it might look interesting. And then at the bottom floor, all I need to do now is just to add some sort of supporting structure just to make it a bit more believable, and then also just add more character to the actual train station section here. So all of these are just designed to make it look somewhat realistic. And providing these kind of frameworks gives you that impression that this looks like an actual factory, something that might exist in the real world as well. Coming back to the arms of the rig, here I'm just adding a little bit more of a supporting structure just to make it first of all look interesting and believable. As you can see, I'm quite fond of my pillars. I just find them to be a lot more versatile and useful compared to just foundations. adding some of the final touches now. All I need to do is just add signs in here. In this case, it's going to be a 4-meter sign. All the color options you set to the same color, and then you set it to the max brightness and glossy on. And once you do that and place them into a line like I'm doing right now, you'll find that it gives you this kind of like neon strip RGB kind of look. When it comes to this kind of design, it's all just down to experimentation and the question of what works and what doesn't work. But just play around with a couple of designs, find something you like, and just keep building on that concept. The refineries by themselves looked a little bit empty, so I decided to add this overarching arch of concrete pillars just to give it a more structured feel to it. As an added bonus, I'll be putting catwalks on there just to give them more of a purpose. One of the last things I need to add to the catwalk is just the means to get to it. For that, I'll be adding these staircases, connecting the generator floor to the catwalks above. When working with stairs and catwalks, you might come across this problem where sometimes there's a slight elevation difference. This can easily be resolved by just placing a secondary staircase and just micro nudging it around until it fits perfectly. All you need to do is just hold control and use your page up and down and your arrow keys and just get into position, and once it's there, lock it in and you're good to go. Now I'm just adding some of the very last touches to the build just to finalize it. All of these blueprints can be made available in my Discord. If there's anything in these builds that I've used that you don't see on Discord, just let me know and I'll be sure to add it. Alright, let me show you around. I'm actually quite excited to show you around. This build came out really nice. I'm quite happy with it. So let's have a look around. Alright, ground floor. We've got our train station up here, and we head through these doors here. This is our light controls, as you can see over here. There we go. And from here you can access the train if you need to do quote-unquote any maintenance on the train stations or the fluid stations. From here, obviously our train will come this way, offload all the fuel into these fluid containers, which then gets pumped up with a Mark II pump up to our fluid buffers. And we've got 4, one for each fluid train station. And then each of them has got a pump, push it up there, and then a secondary pump, push it onto the next floor. So we can either take the elevator to the next floor, or we can take a staircase to the next floor. When we get onto our logistics floor, you can see the fluid buffers over there. We'll come have a look at these ones on the right hand side in a moment. Right, so here's our fluid buffers poking through the floors. So you can see in this section here has got a pipe connecting all 4 fluid buffers. This will act as a balancer between all of them. So if, for instance, the first fluid buffer is full, we've got a half one, another full one, this pipe will balance out the fluids being pumped towards the 4 different wings, which is 1 floor up, and just makes the entire system balance in the sense of feeding fuel whatever's available to the top floor, which is going to be the generator floor. Coming back to this hallway, we've got the power bank maintenance area. So in this section we just got a whole bunch of power banks set up here. There's about 15 total, which will give us 5,000 megawatts of backup power. This is located around the outer edge of the middle floor. And there we go. So like I say, 15 total, which should give us a nice little buffer for if there is something wrong with power. Alright. So if we follow the hallway all the way around, we'll get to the elevator section, which should be right about here. So like I say, you can either take the stairs, which will pop you out on the other side of the fluid buffers, or you can take the elevator, which will also take you to any of the floors. This section here is our control room, and from here we can monitor whether everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Here we can see we've got 50 power storage units, giving us a total of 5 gigawatts of backup power on site. We've got our computer interface, and then we've got the monitoring station here, which shows us that we've got 52 generators, each supposed to do 250 megawatts, producing a maximum capacity of 13,500 megawatts. Right, on this section here we've got our main grid, which is going to go throughout the entire world, and B, which will be supplying the main grid, is our fuel generator. So if we want to see if there's anything wrong with our fuel generation, we know we're supposed to do 13,500. So if I come to this point here and I cut us off from the main grid, as you can see our batteries are also hooked up to the actual power grid, so these batteries will now be in effect until this fuel station comes back online, which will be now. There we're back up, charging full, and we're back to our maximum power production again. So you can see there is a bit of a fluctuation here, and the reason for that is that we've got about, I think it's 4 geo nodes currently attached to this power grid as well. So there is a slight deviation of power, but otherwise everything is running pretty smooth. Right, actually on this side again, so over here we have our power banks again, so that's just the U-shaped power banks going all the way around. Alright, we'll take the elevator from here. There we go. As before, I've color coded all the floors. I'll show you guys what it looks like. So the ground floor, or the first floor, will be rail access. I just use a rail icon and then just like a neutral color. And then all my logistics floors will always be red, and all my production floors will be some variation of blue. Right, let's head upstairs. Got a nice little view here as well. Alright, quite a nice view. Anyways, coming onto the production floor, we've got 4 wings here. Numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. When we have a look again at these power switches, you can see these are all marked 1, 2, and 3. The reason for this is to help us with fault finding. So if we come to wing 4, and we can see 13 generators, it's supposed to do 3,250 megawatts. We come over here and isolate it. We can see that it's currently doing 3,250, which means there's no problem here. If we move on to the next one, so this one you can see it's got 14 generators as opposed to 13, so it should do 3,500 megawatts. If we kill it, or at least isolate it from the grid, we can see, right, it is doing 3,500. And if you have any issues, you can just come here, flick the switches, see which one isn't doing what it's supposed to do, and then address the issue from there. So yeah. Alright, coming out to the actual production floor, we can see we've got stair access to all the machines, both the upper level as well as the lower level, where we can access the machine at that point there if you want to investigate each machine for whatever reason. And then utilizing this bracing cross beam, you can have all the catwalks on top of it, which then interconnects to all the different wings, and you can literally go to pretty much any point on this rig via catwalks. So let's head on down, and we'll just go down one of the wings just to show you guys a bit of a close-up. Alright, there we go. So each wing is being fed from the 4 points, which we showed you below, from the 4 different fluid buffers. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we take this one for instance, it comes out here with a 600 pipe into 2 300 pipes, which then equally splits, or at least closely equally, splits the fuel going down these fuel lines and then feeding each machine in turn. And then at the end, just to balance it out in case there's any discrepancy at the actual point where the fuel gets divided into the 2 pipes, we've got a little pipe here acting as a balancer between these 2 pipes. And currently, like I was saying, we are producing slightly more fuel than we're consuming, and the idea behind it is to have a little bit of overheads, so we never have any problems when it comes to actual fuel and feeding the machines. So these should, at least after a while, be 100% full almost all the time. So the fluid buffers, as we saw below, aren't 100% capacity, but there's more than enough to keep these pipes filled to the brim. Let's have a look. Yep. So yeah, there we go. So not a very intricate design, complexity wise at least. From a practical point of view, I think this is quite a nice one. I'm very happy with how it came out. This section here is just stair access as opposed to the elevator access. From here you can go down and you can get access to everything that we have down below. There's a control room, fluid buffers, power banks, and then elevator again. Alright, so we'll take the elevator down again. And that's it. This save file will be made available for all my patrons. And all the blueprints, at least the vast majority of these blueprints, will all be available on my Discord to anybody and everybody. And that's it for the offshore oil rig. I'm very happy with this one. Next up, what we're going to do for our next episode, we need to expand our steel production, which is going to be way at the back there. Maybe do something similar to this iron and copper production. But that's going to be for the next episode. If you guys enjoy this content and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. Place any comments on the video. If you have any suggestions or if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can jump into my Discord and grab any of the blueprints I've been using for this episode, or just jump in and have a chat. A big thank you to my patrons for their support. It is truly appreciated. If you'd like to become a supporter, you can find my Patreon link in the description below.